All right, welcome back to the Team O'Neill Rally School. I'm Wyatt. We got something a little bit different for you today, driving gloves. And we're not talking about, your grandfather's leather driving gloves. We're talking about, FIA approved Nomex racing gloves. Some people love these, some people hate them. If you're going racing, they're a necessary evil. So what we're gonna take a look at is what they're good for, what they're not so good for, and how to choose the right ones for you. So, driving gloves, what are they all about? The only reason you're wearing these things is to protect you in the event of a big fiery accident. They're required by most sanctioning bodies. Any type of serious racing you get into, you need to wear them, and that's just for their insurance, and it's a safety thing so that if you do get in a big flaming crash, you're protected. If you do get into that accident and you roll over and you need to deal with broken glass or sharp metal or anything like that, you're going to be way better off with these than you would be with just bare skin. It's not what they're for, but hey, if I had to crawl out of this thing upside down, I'd be pretty happy that I was wearing these. Another side benefit of wearing driving gloves is that you've got pretty good grip on the wheel, especially if your hands get sweaty, hot temperatures, long stints in the car, endurance racing, anything like that. You're going to be really glad you have them. They do dampen a fair amount of vibration. If you're driving for long distances, especially on rough roads, it's the same reason that they wore driving gloves back in the day. In a race car especially, where you don't have a lot of rubber bushings, things are solidly mounted, you've got mean motor mounts and suspension, there's a lot of vibration coming from the steering wheel. So kind of turning down the volume on some of that noise is almost a good thing. Do you lose some feel as far as the steering wheel and what the front tires are doing? Yeah, absolutely. Especially with a thicker glove. The thicker a glove you have, the less feel you do have on the steering compared to not wearing any gloves at all. You've got thousands of nerve endings in each fingertip, and having that direct contact with the wheel, it gives you a lot better feedback than you're gonna have with a glove. Even more than the steering feel, something you're going to notice immediately is any of the other stuff that you need to do in the car, whether it's just getting your belts on, getting the wipers on, operating switches. These are kind of slippery. Your shifter, there's the little grippy patches, but other than that, this material is very, very slippery on most plastics and metals and carbon and anything else you might be interacting with. So definitely, when we talk about choosing gloves, find something where you've got grip on your fingertips so that you can manipulate any controls in the cockpit that you need to. If your goal is racing, you don't want to put these on for the first time, on the start line. You want to practice with these things. There is a learning curve associated with them, just as far as muscle memory. You need to get those hours in so these kind of disappear to your brain. If you are picking out gloves, pick out gloves for what you're going to do. You'll see most of these are SFI and FIA rated. You would want to hopefully go with a glove that's certified for both of those, SFI being American, FIA being international. There are very thin gloves all the way up through very thick gloves, these being somewhere in the middle. Thin gloves are for karting and maybe track days and lighter duty, more feel. These are kind of a happy medium. And then there are thicker gloves than this for, the drag fuel guys where you need more fire protection. Fires are more common and hotter, nitro fuel dragster or something. They probably have to wear like welding gloves almost driving those things. One of the silly things to say, but it is important, is to buy these from a good retailer. You're not going to want to pick these up on eBay from some scammo company, because guess what? They're going to be made out of cotton and they're going to be flammable. The aramids and the Nomex and stuff that these are made out of, it's pretty expensive. The stitching is all Nomex, the thread that they use to put it together. And if you buy a knockoff, that's not something you're gonna want to deal with. So get them from an authorized retailer. Take your best guess with sizing, and don't be afraid to return them. If they don't fit quite right, that's not something you want to deal with. If they're a little too big, you're not going to want them moving around and bunching up on you. And if they're too small, thinking, oh, maybe they'll break in, they don't break in much. These are basically a decade old. They've been all over the world with me, and they haven't grown much at all. So go with about the right size from the get-go, and you're going to be happy. One thing that's probably personal preference, but you're going to see a lot when you get into driving gloves, is the external stitching. You can see these are stitched on the outside, and that's only so that they're super comfortable on the inside. And the stitches are positioned such that they won't get bunched up between your fingers and the steering wheel. You know, they're pretty well thought out so that the stitches stay out of your way as you're driving, and that's really nice to have. I haven't personally tried the internally stitched high-end gloves. I'm sure they're excellent from any of the good manufacturers. Just these are what I tried early on, and I've loved them and I've never looked back. And one last thing that eludes a lot of people when you're looking at driving gloves, it's something that you get with a little bit more of a mid-range or high-end glove. They take into account the curvature. So you can see how these are sort of pre-curved. If I straighten them out, I'm almost pulling on the material, where at a curve, that's their natural state to be in, so that when you grip the wheel, they don't bunch up under your fingers. Like if you put a work glove on that's designed to lay flat and you grab a steering wheel, it's gonna all bunch up under your fingers and you're gonna have clumps and weirdness going on between you and the steering wheel. A good driving glove is gonna have that natural curvature to it. Like when you lay it down flat, the fingertips are poking up, and that's exactly what you want, so that you've got good, solid, smooth contact with the steering wheel. Now, I do have to say, we don't use these a ton here at the Rally School. I haven't driven with driving gloves in a little while, and I kind of like it. It's been a little bit, and I'm not gonna lie, I miss them. It feels a little more like driving. I get why, you know, people come through the Rally School or they go to an autocross or something wearing driving gloves where it might not be necessary, because it does put you a little more in that mode. The grippiness on the palm lets me hold onto the wheel lighter, but have just as good control, if that makes sense. I don't need to grip the wheel as tightly as I would without the glove, and that almost gives me better feel. I know that that wheel's not gonna slip through my hands, and my fingertips are actually only touching the wheel very lightly, which I like. So that's the basics with driving gloves. It does take a long time, you know, 20, 30, 40 hours or something of driving for everything to become instinctive and for them to just get absorbed into your system so you don't even notice they're there anymore. And that's where you need to be. You don't want to put these on for the first time at the start line of your first race. So get the seat time you need to. You know, you can wear them to bed if you want, do whatever. If people are making fun of you, it doesn't really matter. You've got to get your hours in and do what you need to do. So thanks for watching. If you are into these sorts of videos, please think about subscribing to the channel and hit the little bell icon so you're notified when a new one comes out. If you're interested in driving any of these cars, come out and play around. Check out teamoneil.com, and we'll catch you next time.